Mountain Jar. All right, everybody, back over here, Mountain Jar, JC Mountain Jar, and still working on that loadout video that I promised you guys. So what we got today is that I have cleaned up fixed blade knife that we're going to use. Here it is. Oops. Oh gosh. And here it is. This is the bad boy that I cleaned up that we're going to use. Is this old Cataragus 225Q Cataragus. I sharpened it up. Oh yeah. And I put some oil, cleaned up the blade, and I cleaned up the pommel. That's about all that I want to do to this. I do not like when I personally do not want to shine this up to where it's all bright and shiny. This is how I like it. It's better than what it was, but it's not taking away all the character. So for a long time I was going to use the PKS, but then I found this K-Bar commando knife, and this is what I'm going to use on the loadout. So I'm going to stick with the fighter knife type of theme. It's got a nice sheath, comes out rather well. I love the blade style on this K-Bar, and the handle fits just fine. Some people say it's a little short. I could feel, yeah, it's a little short, but I think for what we're going to be doing, it's going to be just fine. Okay, guys. Traditional knife. So originally I was going to use like a case Stockman, but then I was gifted this awesome Moore Maker. So this is the bad boy that I'm going to use. Heck yeah. I'm go with a traditional in the loadout bag. I also wanted to show you that I feel that this Microtech MSI is an absolutely great knife. I love this knife. What I most like about this knife is you don't have to depress the ram lock to open it up. You don't have to flick it to open it up. All you got to do is flick it and it opens up. Then ram lock it to drop closed. Drop it down in there. It's great. Although this is a nice, pretty knife, I don't think that it's going to be very hard for me to drop it in the dirt and play with it. So throughout this series, we're going to be playing with this knife. I'll drop it in the dirt. But also, I was gifted by Arizona ADC this nice cubit. So we're going to be taking this, and this is so thin, I think this is going to be like my meal prep knife. Work knife. Work knife. Work knife. You can even do it left-handed with some practice. What I like to say as well is that I like to load my bags out with items that have multi-purposes. You know, a knife is a tool, so there's plenty of purposes that could come from using a knife. Then I like to get these bandanas. Rather, this is just a piece of cloth that I plan on doing something cool with it as a bandana. You can put it over your head. You could make char cloth out of it. You can filter your water before boiling it. So I feel 100% cotton cloth is good for a lot of reasons. You can wet it, put it around your neck if you're hot, cover your mouth if you got to, you know, you don't want to breathe in anything toxic or flames or rather smoke from the flame. So I like to use multi-purpose items in my loadouts. Here, let's go over to the table and have some fun with this other. What I really like to do is carry stuff in my loadout bag that's going to be multi-purpose. I usually carry some salt, some pepper, and some sugar. Sugar could be used to sweeten my coffee. Could perk me up during, you know, a difficult time if I'm having a hard day or something like that. Diabetic emergencies, if there's someone, myself or someone is hypoglycemic, they're low blood sugar, give them some sugar, mix it in water. As long as the person's able to swallow without coughing and choking. And in this scenario, I'm going to show you how mixing this with this potassium permanganate can also create fire. So potassium permanganate also has multi-purposes. In very, very tiny, which I'll show you guys, very tiny doses. Oh, it can be used in water purification. It can be used for an antiseptic and antifungal. And then, of course, we're going to see how it works to start a fire. This is tree tea oil foot spray. It is not necessarily an antifungal, but it refreshes and deodorizes. When I'm out in the field, I take my socks off, I kind of wipe them down, and then I spray this and I clean my feet really well so that I can keep from getting fungus, and so that I can get away from a really, really, really bad smell. I don't want to be out there attracting smell. If I'm out there in the environment, kind of like hunkering down or anything, and I fall asleep, I don't want to have such a bad smell that animals come and are attracted to me. So I carry some of this, which has glycerin, and that's one of the components that you mix with potassium permanganate to cause combustion and fire. You can also find glycerin in your vehicle, in your antifreeze, in your brake fluid, and like I said, sugar, so we can get this started here. So with a loadout scenario, if I had to travel somewhere by foot, most likely I could probably pick up something like this on the road, outside of someone's house, you know, outside of a store or something. This one happens to be an old choke cherry jam jar. Cleaned it out. In my vehicle, I like to go to yard sales. I like to go to REI's got a yard sale once a month. I pay attention to the calendar, and I like to go to those deals. You know, like sometimes the items are used but 50% off or damaged. Then you can pick up stuff like this. Well, you can pick up stuff like this big old couple liters worth of water container. I keep it in my vehicle, always full with water. Change it out every month or so, just to make sure I have fresh water in there. So part of this is going to be showing you what we can do. I'm going to put some water in here. So I am not an instructor by all means of what I'm going to be showing you here. I'm just showing you on stuff that I've learned. So I just advise you guys to, if you want to use these methods or any of the items and stuff that I'm showing in this video, I just ask you guys to do your own research. Look, even this, we could probably start a fire, right? Get that sun and put your tinder right there. Look how bright it is already. If I put my finger there, I can already feel it's a little bit hot. So see, we can have, there's multi-purpose items in our, you know, in our surroundings and what we have. We just have to educate ourselves to be able to use them. So I picked myself up one of these really small measurement tools. Comes on a key with many measurements. This one happens to be what's called a drop. 1/64 of a teaspoon, just one drop. So say I grabbed my water from a ditch or a river. I put my water container there. I put my 100% cotton item. I filter my water through so that I get all this the surface gunk out of the water. Boil my water, and then or you know, you don't have to boil your water. I'm showing you how to purify it without boiling. So 50 milligrams, a little tiny shot of this potassium permanganate, just a real tiny one, is good to treat 8 ounces. So 50 milligrams treats 8 ounces of water. Should turn just a tinge of pink. let it sit for about 20 to 30 minutes before you drink it. Now, this is caustic. It is a chemical, as you can see here. It's reagent, so there's laboratories that still use these. And the main compound is called, I even took notes just to make sure that I remember the compound, is KMN04, potassium permanganate crystals. And there's 3 specific uses, and I'm kind of using a few of them now to show you guys. So at this point right now, I really don't have to wear anything over my mouth because I'm not going to breathe it in. But as you see right there, even that much right there is too much. So I'm going to put a lot of that back. And I'm probably just going to use, I wouldn't even say that that is a full quarter of this dropper. But then I'll put that in the water. And as you can see, it's already turning a different color. Geez, and I think that that's even probably too much right there. You'd probably have to go less than that. But we'll use the bigger spoon and we'll mix it around. Yeah, that pink is probably too much right there for drinking. You'd have to go a lot lighter, which we can try. Let's go lighter.
So the calculations are off a little bit too, because this is 50 ounces. You want to be using, we'll break it down real slow. We'll break it down to 1 liter, which is 33 ounces. There are 4 cups in 1 liter. The other cup is 8 ounces, so this is close to 2 cups. So you want to figure out the calculation a little bit or even lower than 8 ounces here. I'm just going to show you that's probably going to be so much less.
Maybe. It's probably good to practice quite a few times before you really get to use it, right? We can add more water. So I would probably call that pink. And I would say that that's probably good enough. Probably dilute it a little bit more, if anything. But that's the idea of what we would be doing if we wanted to purify our water. Now, let's add a little bit more to show you how dark you want to go for antiseptic. I'm not even going very much more. Just a tad bit more. This could be could burn your skin if you're not using this correctly or smart. But you want a darker purple for an antiseptic. Still let it sit about 20 to 30 minutes, and then you can clean stuff like you can clean your feet, you can clean scratches, small cuts or abrasions with something about that purple. Yeah, that looks like a good purple for antiseptic. Really cool. I don't know if the sun is, there you go, now you get to see. And then if you got this jar with a lid, you got your antiseptic to carry with you if you needed to. I have my headband here that I can also use to bring over my mouth, so I'll put that headband over my mouth so that I don't breathe in any of this stuff. Let me get a rather large spoonful for you all. Let's take some of this glycerin and pour it over. that was good to know that. Oh, sorry, that's not gonna work for us. So there's probably too much oil in this versus glycerin. All right, guys, I'm gonna move away because I know that brake fluid works for real. There's the camera up here. And action. How's that, huh? Pretty cool. Got my face covered. We're at a pretty good distance. Poof! See? That's some crazy stuff, man. Then there's your little coals. If you wanted to move them or something, throw it on a fire, but you could probably put your kindling right on top of that if you had the right spot. So you also, let me pull this down. You also have friction. You know, friction with this stuff makes a big difference. So you can still keep on moving it around, giving it some friction. It still stays combustible. Look, my stick is on fire, guys. So it's a pretty dangerous thing if you don't know what you're doing.